Today we have with us the 2014 BMW M6, and not just any M6, the M6 Grand Coupe, the more practical version of the M6. And so without any further ado, let's get started with the review.
Now, before starting the review of this car, I would specially like to thank Mohit and Raja Car Deals, which is a used car dealership here in the industrial area of Chandigarh. They have an amazing inventory of many used luxury cars and sports cars. I mean, they have a freaking BMW M6 over here. What else do you want? So you can hit them up using the links in the description below if you're interested to buy such cars. Also, we are a considerably new channel, so I think pressing that red subscribe button would be a really good opinion because we give one of the most detailed reviews that you'll find on YouTube. And so, with the hope that you have pressed that red subscribe button, let's get on with the video.
So if we talk about the styling of the BMW M6, well, it is quite similar to that of a 6 Series BMW. But being an M car, there are few differences, which includes more aggressive linings than the BMW 6 Series, and this is a much more track focused car. In the grille, you can see that we have a small M6 badging, and below in the splitter area, we have much more bigger vent to cool this beast of an engine. Moving towards the side of this car, the first thing you notice is the length of the hood of this car. It is very long, and the reason behind why it is so long is the engine placement in this car. To increase the track stability in this car, BMW has put the engine towards the rear of this hood, and hence the longer hood. And the thing that enhances the track stability furthermore are the 265 20-inch low-profile tires in the front and 295s in the rear. Now for the rear styling. As we told you in the front, this car is very much similar to the 6 Series BMW, but the difference include quad tip M performance exhausts with carbon fiber exhaust tips, which looks really stunning. And talking about carbon fiber, this car's roof is also made of carbon fiber, which is lightweight and provides rigidity to the car, which is the initial recipe of a good track weapon. And just below the roof, we have the third brake light, which is beautifully integrated. And another unique thing about the rear in this car is that the BMW logo is a revolving logo, which has two uses. First, when you pop this car in the reverse, the rear parking camera pops out from the revolving logo, and the second use is that you can use the BMW logo to open the trunk.
And now, as this is a performance car, let's talk about the performance of this massive car. We have a 4.4 litre V8 engine coupled with a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, so it's going to be super fast transmission speeds. But the stock M6, once again, stock M6 produces 560 horsepower along with 680 Newton meters of torque, which are humongous great numbers. But Mohit and Raja Car Deals tells us that this car is tuned and produces 900 horsepower in the crank. 900 horsepower. This car is going to rip down the roads and it's going to be so much fun. Now, talking about the features of this car outside, we first off have the blind spot monitoring in this car, which you can see we have a camera over on this side and on the other side. And the reason why we have blind spot monitoring in this car, a sports car, is because the hood of this car, as we told you in the styling section, is very, very long. So going through a sharp turn in this car is going to be a nightmare because essentially you don't know what's coming from the other side. And so that's why blind spot monitoring in this car is a really good option. Then we have the HUD, which is the heads-up display, which we are going to tell you while we move inside the car. And then last but not the least, we're talking about the doors in this car. First off, we have rimless doors, not only for the front but also for the rear in this car. And the better part is that you also get soft close doors. That means I just need to touch the car with the body panel and the door will automatically close. Similarly, for the front door over here, I just need to touch the door with the body panel and the door is automatically gonna close. I think that is really, really cool. But do you need that in a sports car? Probably not, but is it good to have? A big thumbs up. So moving inside the car, the first thing I want to talk about is the steering wheel in this car, which has a great fit and finish like every sports car should have, and I'm a big fan of that. What this car also has is big paddle shifters, which is a great plus in a sports car. Other than that, the one thing I like is the M badge that we get at the bottom of the steering wheel, which looks nice. And two great features of this car which I really like is the M1 and M2 buttons. Now in the newer M cars you get the M buttons over here and over here, but being a 2014 model, in this car we get them over here and over here. So I am going to tell you what those two buttons do, but in a really short while. Right now let's talk about this display. Now this display is a basic BMW display. We have the fuel gauge over here, the digital speedometer over here, and we also have the odometer even in the center. But a few features that this car has extra are these three options over here, which are for the drive select, the suspension selection, and the steering wheel selection in this car. Now these three options are specific to M cars and can be configured through this display and the infotainment display of this car. Through this display, we can also configure the M1 and M2 buttons that I was telling you before about. So for that, we will need to go into settings where we have M Drive 1. And so if we go there, that is for the M1 button. If we go into the settings of that, you can see we first off have DSC on. So if I go into that, you can see we have DSC on, which is the stability control program of this car. And as you can see, it's right now on. But when you move into MDM, that is, it's on medium settings and the driver will have to intervene in a little while. But when we go into DSC off, that means that this car stability program is completely turned off and the driver will have to intervene, and be careful because it's an powerful M6 car. Anyways, let's go into the drive mode of this car, which right now is in sport. But if when we go in there, you can see we have efficient, which is the eco mode of this car. Then we have sport, which is the normal mode because it's an M6. Even the normal mode is sport mode in this car. But then we have sport plus, which may be the track mode in this car. As you can see, they have written direct response, which means the response will be instantaneous. As soon as you press the gas, the car is going to go flying. Then we have suspension, which is right now in Sport Plus. When we go in there, now in Comfort, it's like the comfortable experience. The suspension is very soft. Then in Sport, we have a stiffer suspension for city spirited driving. And then Sport Plus is the track mode of this car. As you can see, it's written race setting, in which it's very stiff. Then we have our steering wheel mode, which right now is in Sport Plus. So if you go inside that setting, once again we have Comfort, Sport and Sport Plus. Comfort is for the steering wheel to be very light. It's going to be really easy to maneuver. Then we have Sport mode, in which it's going to be a little hard for the spirited driving in city. And then we have Sport Plus, which is going to be extremely hard for the extreme precise handling of the BMW M6. So that was about the steering wheel in this car. And then we have the transmission settings, which right now is in D3, as you can see, but we can change that, and I'll explain what D3 is. So when we come into the settings, we have mode and gear position. And as you can see, the mode right now is S. Now S is for the sequential sport setting, which is for the sport mode of the transmission, which means it's going to be really fast. And then we have D, which is for the automated sporty. And then we have the gear position, which right now is in 3, which means automated sport, which is for the track focused driving of the transmission, which means it's really fast. Then we have 2, which is automated dynamic, which is for the sport mode in city. And then last but not the least, we have automated efficiency in mode, which is type of the comfort and the eco mode for the transmission. Last but not the least, we have M View, which is actually for the HUD, that is heads-up display in this car. So you can even change the view of the heads-up display. You want it in M Drive, which shows you the RPMs, gear and the speed, which means you do not have to take your eyes off the road even to look at your speedometer. Everything will be shown to you by the HUD. But you can also change the HUD according to you. That is in standard view, in which it will only and only give you the speed of the car, which may be for your city driving, in which you don't need much information. And then last but not the least, we have Reset M Drive, which is for resetting all the settings that we just did. Similarly, just as I told you about the sport mode, the suspension setting and the steering wheel setting in this car, you can adjust that through the driver display as well. Other than the M Drive presets and the HUD, I don't really think that there is any more special features in the display of the M6 than any other normal BMW. You do get some additional features on the driver's side seat, which is number one for the HUD in this car. If you want to turn it off, you can do that through this button. Number two is for the night vision in this car. Say you wanted to go in a cruise in your BMW M6 at night, well, night vision will be a great feature. And then last but not the least is of lane keep assist. When you turn this on, the steering wheel in this car would give you some vibrations if you go outside the white lines while driving in your car. So this is a great safety feature. But then last but not the least, we have few features in the center console which are actually shortcut buttons to control the drive select, the suspension selection and the steering wheel feel in this car, so that you do not need to fiddle around with the display every single time. You can just use the shortcut buttons to toggle through the Sport Plus, Sport and the Comfort mode of this car. And the blind spot monitoring that I was telling you before can be turned on through this button.
We're going to start the practicality of the glove box in this car. And as you can see, it is a normal sized glove box. The good thing about that is that it is lighted and it also has a CD changer. Moving towards the center console, we have two covered cup holders, and behind the gear selector, we have a covered ashtray with a cigarette lighter. After opening the lockable armrest in this car, we have a large storage space for store some things, and we also have a 12-volt charging socket along with a USB port and an aux port. In front seats, we also have long door bins, but we do not have bottle holders. If we talk about practicality in the rear seats, we have seat pockets for driver's side as well as passenger side seat. If we open the rear armrest in this car, it reveals two retractable cup holders, and behind that we have a storage cubby which is moderately deep. We can also access the trunk after opening this compartment. The door bins in the rear are smaller, and they also have an ashtray which is covered.
And so now for the most important part of our practicality session is the trunk. But first we're going to talk about opening this trunk. There are three ways to open this trunk. The first is on the key fob, second is the driver's side door area, and the third is the revolving BMW logo. Actually, considering the fact this is a sports car, the trunk in this car is enormous. And for organization in this car, you get a bin in this car for storing some things, and on both sides we have handles to put down the seats.
And so now talking about comfort in the BMW M6, well, obviously it's a sports car, so comfort is not your main priority, but still it's a daily driver car. So anyways, if I talk about the seat over here, I'm in the driver's side seat as you can see, and obviously being the front seat, I can move the seat back and forth. The backrest back and forth, which is pretty normal, but the extra features I do get are the under thigh support. As you can see, I can control that automatically. I also have the seat bolstering in this car, which is automatic, which means that it grips me however I want it. And obviously I get lumbar support in this car as well, which is very basic. We also get two memory seats in this car, which I think is a great thing. So those were about the features of the seats in this car, but if I talk about the seat material, they're leather seats, very soft, very comfortable. The driving profile of this car is also very low, and it's a sports car, which is justified. So if I talk about going in a long road trip in this car, I think you can easily go for a long road trip if you're sitting in the front seats for about 4 or 5 hours in a single stretch pretty easily. But is that the same story in the back seats? Well, we'll have to see. Let's go. And so now talking about comfort in the rear seats, you just saw that I was sitting in the front seats and I'm pretty tall, 6'1", still coming in the rear seats. I have about 2 or 3 inches of leg space with me. And considering the fact that this is a sports car, I mean, if I'm saying a 6'1" person is saying that we have 2 or 3 inches, I think that is really good. If I talk about the headspace, well, I have 1.5 inch of headspace as well. And considering this car has a coupe design, that is pretty justified. So space wise, I don't think you're gonna have any kind of problem. Talking about the seat material, it's obviously the same as the front ones, very soft, very comfortable. But I do think that the under thigh support for a 6'1" person is a little less in this car. But then again, answering the question if you can go in a long road trip in this car, I think you can easily go in a long road trip in this car, be it a child or an adult, even in the rear seats. But I think let's move on to the middle seat. Yeah, it's an M6, there is no middle seat, but yes, if you want to, like under any circumstances, if you want to, you can sit over on this side, obviously you have this huge center console over here, so you have to keep one leg on this side and the other leg on this side. And also this is a little bit hard, not too hard but not too soft as well, so not recommended sitting in the middle seat of this car. But then any emergency situation where you just need 5 seats, well, I think you can sit over here as well.
And now in the last segment, when you have known the styling, the performance, the features, the practicality and the comfort, it's time to talk about pricing. When this car was new, the ex-showroom price of this car was 1.85 crores. And today at Mohit and Raja Car Deals, you will get this car for only 60 lakh rupees. 60 lakh rupees for a BMW M6 Grand Coupe. Well, that is a steal of a deal. And not just this, you get many other facilities even after buying the car, such as insurance facilities, transfership to any state in India, and biggest one of all, servicing of the car. So I think that it's a complete package deal.
So that was the official overview from Garage Reviews of a 2014 BMW M6 Grand Coupe. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, comment down below what you think about this video, share this video as much as you can, and a subscribe would also be appreciated. Thank you.